sourdough bread, that's the overnight soaking. Those are the sour porridges that people ate. Jose, who is on the line, will know something called shugo, which is a corn and beans that's fermented. And all traditional cultures did this. And I think if we went back to feeding our children right so their guts developed properly and preparing the grains properly, we would not have these problems with gluten-containing grains.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, another question from Ben. Why don't fermented foods, which is an important part of the Western diet, and yeast or intestinal parasites mix?
Well, but they do mix. These fermented foods are perfect for yeast. They kill candida because they populate the gut with good bacteria, and they'd be great for intestinal parasites, too. We're not talking about fermented pickles from the grocery store. That's quite different. We're talking about the lactofermentation, which is a natural artisan process.
Okay, so for example, what kind of food would that be? What kind of food are you
Well,
eating?
the natural old-fashioned sauerkraut or yogurt or natural old-fashioned pickles, and all these recipes are in my book. And there are people making them. You make them with whey and salt, and you get a bacterial fermentation, a sour fermentation. And this is exactly what people need who are suffering from a yeast overgrowth.
Okay. Ooh, I just learned something new. Diane from Facebook wants to know, I like to save and store my bacon fat for use in cooking. How long does it last in the fridge?
Oh, it lasts for years in the fridge. We don't even put our bacon fat in the fridge. And we just use it as we, pour it out, and we reuse it. We do a lot of cooking in bacon fat because it really tastes good, and it's a healthy fat. So I would think it would last for years in the fridge, and it will last for several months at room temperature.
Right on. Another one from Diane. She asks, do some fats work better for cooking things that need to not stick to a cast iron skillet? For example, cooking eggs. They seem to do better in butter to keep from sticking than coconut oil or bacon fat.
That has not been my experience. As long as you have a very well-seasoned pan, any fat will do for cooking eggs. But I would always use cast iron. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Kim asked, in your book, Nourishing Traditions, you recommend dehydrating soaked nuts at 150 degrees. Why isn't that temperature lower? Because we know that enzymes become denatured somewhere around 110.
110 wet heat, 150 dry heat. The enzymes start to go at 150 dry heat, so it's fine to do the nuts at dry heat. They probably would not dry out at 110 degrees, and I don't know of any oven that you could get that low at 110 degrees. Now, a dehydrator, you could do that because they're blowing the hot air over the nuts. You could do a dehydrator at a lower temperature, but it's fine to do them at 150 degrees.
Okay. Last call for callers. I got two more questions. It's 347-237-5608. Trish asked, have a hard time saying that, are we having any success getting raw milk to be legal in all states?
We are certainly having success getting raw milk available in most states, either through farm sales, retail sales, or our cow share programs, or as pet milk. So that's the first step, just making sure it's available. And we've done this through our organization, the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund, which has really been a wonderful thing for these raw milk farmers, offering them legal defense. And it's helped diffuse a lot of situations. It's helped get the bureaucrats to stand back and lay off the raw milk farmers. So we're having tremendous success in getting raw milk more available. If you go to our website, realmilk.com, and click on Where, you will find a huge, huge list of availability for raw milk.
Fantastic. We got a call from the 917. Let me click this person on. Caller from the 917, welcome to UW Radio. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up? It's Antonio again.
Antonio, what's up, buddy?
Well, it's a real quick question, Sally, on raw eggs. What do you take on raw eggs for somebody who is healthy and they are getting healthy eggs? I know there was I think I saw you wrote something recently, and I was a little confused. So are raw eggs okay? The whites and the yolks,
The yolks are fine, but I would not eat a lot of raw egg whites. It's not going to hurt you every now and then to have a raw egg white, but raw egg whites are very, very hard to digest. They have enzyme inhibitors in them, but the raw yolks are fine.
Okay, cool. And what do you think about, like, parasites or bacteria in raw egg?
I would not recommend a raw supermarket egg. But
right. But a
pasture-fed egg
is good. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, Antonio.
Cool. Thanks, Sean.
All right, buddy. We got another call from 905. We'll get to that one in a second. Before I forget, though, Aaron wanted me to ask you, as professionals, what do we do when we've got a vegan client who just won't eat meat? Do you have any recommendations for that?
I would give them this new book called The Vegan Myth. If they won't eat meat, then they should be on raw milk, some good eggs and fish, and cod liver oil. And you can do pretty well on that, unless they have a really high need for zinc, in which case they'd have to eat raw meat. But I think it really needs to be impressed on vegans that, they're going to ruin their health with a vegan diet.
The Vegan Myth. I'm going to definitely have to.
It's called The Vegetarian Myth by Lear Keith, and I cannot recommend this book highly enough. It's written by a woman who was a vegan for 20 years, and she persisted in spite of the fact that her health was going down, and she permanently damaged herself. And she went to a acupuncturist. She was feeling so bad, and the acupuncturist listens to your pulse. And he said to her, "You have no chi." She said, "But I have such a good diet. I don't eat meat." And he said, "That's why you have no chi. You absolutely have to have meat." Mm-hmm. So she, on the way home, she stopped and bought a can of tuna fish. And she went home, and this was the first animal food she'd eaten in 20 years. And she sat there at the kitchen and eating this can of tuna fish, crying and crying and crying, because she knew as she ate it that this is what her body had been craving and needed, and she had wasted these 20 years of her life following this vegan dream and getting nothing for it but poor health.
Can the vegan diet be good for anybody?
It might be advantageous for a few days as a cleansing diet, but it always is going to lead to deficiencies.
Okay. All right. I had quite a weekend with vegans. I don't want to get into it. People who know me, they know what happened. A vegan made a really rude video about me on YouTube. It was just messed up. But
well,
anyway.
They tend to be very angry because they're deficient in B12, and one of the side effects of B12 deficiency is irrational anger.
Oh, my God. I got the rudest email yesterday from vegans because of this video that somebody put up. And it was just like, wow, vegans are, I hate to generalize, but not all of them, but, a select few of them are just really mean. It's like, guys.
Yeah, it's really a shame. And they've been told that, they're going to save the world, they're more spiritually advanced. That's the worst argument of all. The one that engenders the most pride in people is that they're better, spiritually better, because they're vegans.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can't open up a dialogue with people, by being mean, and I don't understand it. But it was a crazy weekend. But anyway, we got a couple more calls that just called in. We got a caller from the 905 area code. What's your name? What's your question for Sally Fallon?
Hi, Sean. It's Vince calling from Toronto. How's it going?
Vince, what's happening, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. And just had a question for Sally. I was actually meaning to meet Sally at the show she went to in Toronto, the Total Health Show.
Oh yes,
And I have actually, I guess, one question with two parts. I found a source here in Toronto for raw milk. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, how do people out here that because raw milk is, let's say it's underground, yeah. So how do I distinguish someone that's really selling me real raw milk and someone that's selling me pasteurized milk? And second part, kind of on the same theme, with raw eggs. How do I distinguish free-range eggs from regular commercially farmed eggs?
You need to go out to the farm. Pay a visit to the farm. Pay a surprise visit to the farm. Know your farmer. I think it's very important.
Besides that, because I'm actually getting it from a source that doesn't want to disclose their their farmer because